Hi everyone, and welcome to the stream. We're going to be getting started in just a second, but if you give me one moment, I'm just going to share onto my socials here. Trying to get a bit of a critical mass going. I think that's the marketing term, maybe. I'm John. I'm working with Depot Adventures. I've got a lot to say, but for now, just, chill out, relax, enjoy the amazing view in this beautiful city. It's a great day for a walk, and I hope that you'll join me. Let's see here. And welcome. That's double audio, don't want that. Share. Not to that. Let's give this a little bit of a test. And let's see. Depot Adventures. Videos. I haven't forgotten about you. 1 second. Share. Post as, no, not as that. Very confusing. Let's just do a little basic ones. Copy link. Done. And then we're just going to go here. I got this new phone. I've got an Android now, and it's kind of a cluster to figure out exactly how to work these darn things. But we're gonna go over here and then paste. There we have it. Join me and say hello! Exclamation points. Post. Sorted. Okay, we're all good now. Welcome everybody to the stream. If you don't know me, my name is John and I am a tour guide. Right here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. It is a weird time to be a tour guide, no matter where you are in the world. Because there's a little COVID-y thing going around here. We've been getting along. We've been doing our best, seeing what we can do to get through this weird time. And one of the things that we've been doing a lot of is virtual tours. But the virtual tours that we have been doing have been mostly private tours, just for one-on-one sort of things. And I thought, you know what? It'd been a while since we did live streams. If you guys have been fans of us since way back last winter, we were doing daily live streams back then. That was a whole heap of work, a lot of fun too. But it's been a while since I've done one of these things. The little tool that I'm playing with here that I've not tried before. So I just wanted an excuse to show you the city today, answer your questions about Melbourne, and generally just show you a good time. And so that is our plan for today. Now, if you wouldn't mind, if you're watching this right now, do me a quick favor and just tell me where you're watching this from. You can write in the comments down below. I will be able to see them. I've got two screens here because I'm very high tech. And we'll see. Let me know if, number one, the audio is coming through okay. Number two, where you are watching this from. That's one of the things I want to know. Brendan, I see you. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. And if you guys will comment, let me know where you're from, where you're coming in from. The little Mark Zuckerberg algorithm will push me through the stratosphere. So that is our plan. But today it's a city just like any other day. It's kind of a wild time in Melbourne, because we suddenly have a city that kind of feels back to normal. Now, of course, I have my mask with me, as we should, but that mask is only needed to be used on public transportation or in grocery stores or in that kind of thing. Hey, Gabby, thanks for watching. So it's kind of a nice return to normalcy over here. The buskers are back. I'm super excited about having buskers back in town. Can you hear the music? I don't know if the microphones down here will be able to pick it up, but it's this great like Irish music playing behind me. It's making me feel a bit homesick for my time over in Ireland. I'm not just gonna stay here, by the way. I'm gonna start walking, but I just wanna wait till we get a few more viewers before I get going. So if you'd like me to keep walking, start walking, best thing you can do, hit like, write a little comment on there, and that will get more people in. Hey, Brendan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have you done any of these live streams yourself? It's like shockingly easy to live stream now. I didn't realize before the COVID revolution that the live streaming social media thing, that ship has sailed, and it is easier than ever to do this. Now, it feels intimidating because you go look at live streamers and you think of like Twitch streamers who have these really full-on studios, but you just pop open your phone, boop, 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 and here we are. So I see 8 of you watching. Hi, on Facebook at least. 8 are watching on Facebook. Some of you may be watching on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube. I'm not sure where, but let's get started, shall we? So let's walk around. Let me just make sure I can flip my camera. One little thing here. Whoop. There we go. Yep. I can flip my camera around just like so. How nice is that? So we're going to use that a bit and show you this amazing city. Let's pop my water in now. Melbourne has been unlike anywhere else in the world during the COVID time. Not unlike anywhere else. It's very ethnocentric of me. Unlike anywhere else in the Western world, we'll say. Melbourne has been very aggressive and proactive with dealing with the COVID crisis. And so when we started to plunge into the dark winter of Australian winter, which last winter it would have been like the July time, we actually went into a 111-day lockdown over here. It was a wild time where we weren't actually allowed to leave our houses. And so it was, hey, Llama 92, winter. It was a weird time where we weren't allowed to go more than 5 kilometers from our houses unless we were going for essential groceries, medical appointments, 2 hours of daily exercise, or we were healthcare workers doing something else important. Where's the snow? Excellent question. We are in Australia, where it is not wintertime, it is summertime. That's a question coming in from Llama92 on Twitch. Thank you for it. Here's a person being illegal and they're driving right there. Don't love that. But no, we're in the southern hemisphere, so it's a summertime. Although the Aussies down here, they'll be kind of making fun of me for wearing a jacket because our weather in Melbourne is not the best. We're a city that weather's not our strong suit. Let's be honest. We are a place where we have 4 seasons in one day. People think about Australia and they think about this as being this incredible, lush, verdant, beautiful, surfy sort of place, and then they get to Melbourne, they have to go buy a jacket. Look, what we lack in weather, we make up for in excellent culture. That's my defense of Melbourne. Take it or leave it. But it is a cold summer day today. It's just about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 24 degrees Celsius. We have our tram behind us, the Made in Melbourne tram. One of the things that gives us a lot of pride. Hey, thank you so much, Llama92, who says, you are awesome. I'm from Minnesota originally. So the fact that I have this American accent down here can be a bit confusing. I understand. I married an Australian. That's how I ended up down here. I have an Australian son. I am working on my Australian citizenship, actually a lodged citizenship application. I was waiting for it at this point. And so I'm Aussie, but also American, also Irish, a little bit of everything. Now, hey Joey, thanks for watching. Feel free to ask any questions that you have about Australia, life in a COVID-free city, what I like to eat, I don't know, whatever. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this little live streaming thing again, because I'm a little bit out of practice. Now, behind me, we have this beautiful building up here. That's one of my favorite buildings in Melbourne. It is the General Post Office, or GPO. And the GPO is a beautiful, beautiful building. Hello, Minnesota Joey. How's it been? It's been a long time since Merry 3 Days, hasn't it, mate? That's a guy on Facebook commenting who I used to live in the same residence hall with back in university. I actually was wearing my St. John's University hoodie just this morning. Thank you for watching. And by the way, you guys who are watching, tune into this. If you hit like, it would help me a ton because the algorithm will push this thing into more people's feed. And in the meantime, I want to show you a little bit more about this building. So let's flip our camera around. There we go. So there is our GPO building, the General Post Office, and this is a very classic Melbourne architecture thing. This is a building that's trying to impress as best as it can with its amazing architecture around here. Now, today it's at H&M, and you can think what you want about that. Some people get a bit cynical about the idea that an H&M is in our historic building, but the fact of the matter is, if it weren't an H&M, it'd have to be something. And there was a time that they were talking about closing this down and turning it into a hotel, which means a lot fewer people would be able to see this beautiful building here. In fact, check this out. I can actually walk right up to the doors and look into this heritage-graded building, the General Post Office. Hey, 1192 from Finland. I've been to Finland. I love Finland. Beautiful place. I've been in a sauna, all that stuff. But I'm not allowed to film in there, so I'm not gonna actually go in. But that's the building. Stunning H&M. Probably the prettiest H&M you'll ever see. Now, I might not be able to go in there. Sorry. But what I can do is I can go in the Postal Arcade. And the Postal Arcade is just around the corner. What time is it? Let's have a look at the watch. Boom. Focus, focus, focus. Having trouble. It is 3:30. 3:30 in the afternoon here in Melbourne. Now over here we have our Postal Arcade, Melbourne's GPO, Postal Lane Dining. There's actually some great restaurants you can go to right here. It's one of my favorite little laneways in Melbourne. And this is what Melbourne's really known for. We're known as a city for laneways. We have some of the prettiest laneways in the world. You'll see this great restaurant right here. We can get some good pizzas around here, and all surrounded by the stunning General Post Office, and of course the skyline of Melbourne. When you walk through here, you can even see some of the pizzas being made. You see the pizza oven, the kitchen right back here. But as I continue to go forward, there's a great picture of what Melbourne used to look like right up ahead. I just want to show you it in just a moment here. It's on the left. You might be able to make it out here. This is the mail being sorted in the General Post Office. You got to remember that we are a country that is far away from the rest of the world. It used to take 8 months on a ship to be able to get down here. And so what was it that people did to stay in touch? They wrote a letter. And in the days before postal delivery, you would actually run down to the post office right here, and you would collect your mail and find out all the news from back home. Post offices end up being a way more important part of Melbourne life. And since it is heritage graded, the building can't actually change any of the things like this. I love this. This is beware of motor cars, because this laneway used to have all the postal vehicles speeding through here. You'd come out the door and get clocked by one of the cars. All right, very controversial question coming in from Llama92 on Twitch. Does pineapple belong to the pizza? Now, this is a controversial question around the world, but not in Australia. In Australia, we are all for pineapple on pizza. In fact, this country that loves Hawaiian pizza more than any other country in the world is Australia. And I ascribe that to the fact that we here in Melbourne, 40% of us are not originally from Australia. So we are not afraid of following Italian traditions about what's supposed to be on a pizza. We'll put absolutely anything on there. Sorry, I've lost the Finnish support of the crowd for today. Look, it's not my default. Personally, if you're asking my opinion, I like a good old sausage and pepperoni pizza as an American, a true red-blooded American here. But harder to get the good sausage around here. I never get that that American kind of crumbled sausage that you get on pizza. It's really hard to get. A lot of times I'll order sausage pizza, and the Australians, they'll mess it up. They'll put this shredded stuff on it. It's kind of like they put ham through a paper shredder, and that's what they will put on there if you order sausage. It's just not very good. Just gonna quickly check and see if there's any other questions coming in that I missed here. Not yet, but thanks for the likes, guys. Appreciate it. Keep letting me know if you have any questions or want me to look at anything more closely, because I'm a tour guide by trade. I do this for a living. My whole job is just to walk around the city. Now, usually I'll have a group of 30 people behind me. Not quite the case today. But it's, yeah, I know, Llama, you're the only one watching on Twitch, but we actually have a lot of users looking on Facebook and YouTube. This is streaming to a bunch of different sources at the same time, and I can see all your chats right here. So yeah, I'm a professional tour guide. I do this all day, every day. And this is one of, this is how I get good at talking, I guess you could say. If you think I'm good at talking. That's a very controversial opinion, I'll say. Now over here we have the Meijer. The Meijer, this is a 7-story department store going all the way up here. Kind of that classic old shopping for the people coming in from the country, looking for the fancy high street fashion brands. This is actually one of my favorite things about this street, which is called Little Burke Street. This is where they had the runway for the Melbourne Fashion Week a couple years back. They actually had all the people lined up on the curb here, and the models had to walk over the speed hump as they went. It's pretty funny. So yeah, this is the Meijer, and then David Jones is a competitor here, and this is one of the little streets of Melbourne. Excuse me. We have the small streets here, which are exactly 33 feet across in Melbourne, and they alternate small, big, small, big, small, big. So the big streets are 99 feet across. Thank you, Troy. Thanks for watching. You guys who are watching, I'll keep on saying this again and again. Hit like. If you hit the like or the laugh or the sad or the cry button, any of those things, Facebook pushes me up in the feed more, and it helps me up a bunch. So let me know also if you want me to walk anywhere, because I can go anywhere you want me to today. The reason I'm doing this little stream is I'm getting a bit of a blast from a past. I was contacted by a gentleman by the name of Chris Sandeman a couple weeks ago about doing a collaborative live stream with him. Now, that's a name that I know really well, and people who have traveled through Europe will know quite well, because Sandemans are the inventors of free walking tours. That's something that a lot of us have done in the world, and I'm actually going to be doing a stream on their social media this coming Sunday morning, which will be a better time for most of you, because most of the American audience and the European audience, you're long asleep. In fact, what is this Finnish person doing up so late? You should go to bed. And so I'm just doing a bit of a practice session right now to see how we go. I do want to point out a bar that I like though. Now, one of my things that I am most passionate about is the bar scene here in Melbourne. We've got great bars all throughout this wonderful city, and there's a new one that's just opened after a bit of strife, and that bar is called Fortress. I'll show you it just up ahead. Now, it is the, whoa, you were going too fast, truck. 7 a.m., up early, says our Finnish viewer today. For you guys on Facebook who are not seeing these chats, I have this like combined feed of chats coming in from my side. But look over here, if we go boop, there. That little F is the entrance to the largest esports bar in the Southern Hemisphere. It just opened. This is actually, this entrance here, the big F on it, is only open after hours. But you go down there, it's this big pit in the center of our big shopping center, and they have all these gaming tables there, and you can do live streaming. You can rent out a live stream station while you're there. It's a pretty unique bar you can go check out. Ooh, new street art up here. This has literally just gone up in the last hour. It's not really street art, it's an advertisement for Dan Murphy's, our liquor store. But it is new, fresh paint over there. Now we're coming up here onto Swanston Street, which is kind of the very center. It's actually the busiest tram thoroughfare in the entire world. There are more trams that pass through here every minute than anywhere else on earth. And there's evidence of that. Let's have a count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can count looking this way. And then looking over this way, I can only see 2 because it's an uphill grade. But this is a very, very busy tram street. Now, one of the really challenging things about here is you'll see there's a cyclist there and a tram there. The bicycle path, then the tram path, but then the footpath is here. If you're a pedestrian and you want to get on the tram, you have to cross the cycle path to get there. That can make for some dangerous situations. One of the most dangerous things you can do in Melbourne is have to board a tram on Swanston Street, because you have to wait on the curb here. The tram will come, it will open its doors. You'll see on this tram it says stop, on the little red sign says stop. The stop flap goes, that says stop, and this cyclist here will have to know to stop. Now, in non-COVID times, we're a very multicultural city, a very international city. We've got people coming here from everywhere, and they don't always have the time to observe our local traffic customs around here. And so all the time when you're getting off a tram, you'll nearly get clocked by a bicycle. It's one of those take your life in your hands moments of living in Melbourne. Just give me 1 minute here, guys. Okay. So, oh, you know what? I just realized you can see the comments that I'm seeing. That's perfect. So I don't need to be narrating what I see here. Just resetting real quickly, guys. My name is John. I am a professional tour guide with Depot Adventures. That is a walking tour company that I started about 4 years ago now. And today I'm just taking you on a little walk through some of my favorite parts of Melbourne. It's an amazing city, lots to see and do here. If you're enjoying this, please hit like, make a comment, let me know where you're watching this from, and I would much appreciate it. Now, as we look through over this way, I can go. This is one of my favorite laneways in Melbourne. Now I'm going to say this about a bunch of laneways, admittedly, but this has some great bars in it. It's called Tattersalls Lane. You look up here, we've got Ferdy Dirk, and Ferdy Dirk has some very intense rules. Here are our house rules. Very importantly, no dickheads. So if you're a dickhead, sorry, you're not allowed here. So one of the things about Australia is that they redefine cussing a little bit. Cursing in Australia, this is kind of par for the course. There are some very, very vulgar words that start with the letter C that would never ever be uttered out of my mouth as an American feminist type guy. But here, said in passing more often than I would be comfortable with. And dickhead is another one that you hear a lot of. Someone being a dickhead. That's a pretty vulgar one that you hear around here, but I've come to really embrace it and enjoy it. We also have a bar here, which is made of a shipping container. It's called Section 8. They literally have just plopped a shipping container here and shipping pallets, and then they have a basketball hoop, and they actually play basketball all the time right here. There's some great street art around here as well. Can you see that big mural back there? This is a very Melbourne place. Now we do have some COVID accommodations here, so it says, "Hello mates, we're getting bums on crates. Thanks for your patience. Chillax and please wait. Enjoy our crap haiku." Love Section 8. One of the rules with COVID is that you have to be maintaining the social distancing. And so whereas normally this is the kind of place where it's just standing room only, shoulder to shoulder, in the COVID era that's had to be reworked a little bit. Hey Lisa, I missed your comment there before. Thanks for watching. Lisa is a pretty impressive person. She's the one who this for us, did our amazing logo. So glad to see you watching on. Hope you're enjoying your handiwork over here. Now we have some great street art coming up right here. Boom. That's a new one. This one changes all the time. It's kind of, what does this mean? What do we think, guys? It's got an alien with a heart above the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Has some other equations and things with question marks over here. There must be some meaning here that I'm not picking up on. Looks a little bit anatomic, if I have to say so myself. you guys seeing the rose that I'm seeing right here? Maybe that's my terribly dirty mind. But that is a piece by, you can see the artist right here. Salad bowl. Salad bowl is ours. Most times when you see street art that you like, you can go look up the artists online and see other pieces and find out a little bit more about them. Now, we also have advertisements that take the form of street art. Traditionally, this would be something that just street artists would put up posters like that. But Melbourne has become a kind of city where street art has kind of become the way that even corporations communicate with us. So as we come out of Tattersalls Lane, just over here, we are going to be in the middle of Chinatown. Just a really kind of beautiful, amazing part of Melbourne. Here we go. Oops. Just seeing a bit of a, I appreciate Lama, you're trying to participate here, but I'm just going to take that off to be a bit more family friendly. Here we go. There we go. I don't know what kids are going to be watching this. So, Continuing on through though, Chinatown. This is Little Burke Street where the cars are going down here. Really electric, exciting part of Melbourne. We have amazing food that you can get here. Dumplings and ramen and Korean and KFC, which is Korean fried chicken. Here's our Chinese gate, just looking over this way. And then looking over this way, we got more. So another Chinese gate down that way. Now, Chinatown is not just this street, it's also all of our little shopping centers. Like right through here, you get some of the best Chinese food in these like hidden away spots that you wouldn't think to look into. You have a Chinese grocery here as well. This is the kind of place where you can get foods that you're not going to get in our duopoly. We have two main grocery stores, Woolies, Woolworths, and Coles here in Australia. But Aldi's trying to take over share, but really it's Coles. It's a Coles and Woolworths town, and as a result, there's some things that you miss. It's the Chinese groceries I love to go to get some foods I wouldn't have normally found. Like, for example, a pork crackling. This is something I used to live in the UK, in London. One of my favorite things about British pubs is, you know how you can get like chips or crisps, depending on which country you're watching this from? One of the things they have in a chip packet is they have this, like, it's pork crackling, like the German thing. It's like bits of pork that have been fried and processed. It's so hard, it literally like breaks off your teeth. And it has this like gelatinized fat in the middle. The way I describe that sounds terrible. It's really salty, but it is like such a guilty pleasure of mine when I'm in the UK. And the only place I've found who has it is just Chinese groceries. So if I'm feeling like being particularly unhealthy, that's what I'm gonna do. Now I do want to quickly show you one of my favorite places for dumplings around here. I'm gonna flip our camera around. And remember I was saying before, like, this is Chinatown, but the mid-city complex is just a kind of standard 70s looking shopping mall. But again, this is where you're gonna find some of the best Chinese food around here. Now when I say Chinese food, remember I'm talking about one of the most populous countries in the world. And so it's quite broad. We should really regionalize it. The Chinese food from over here comes from Shandong, the Shandong region. And the person who makes the dumplings is Mama. The name of the restaurant, Shandong Mama. Really great place to go for dumplings. The thing I like about this, the dumplings are a bit more contemporary, I guess you can say. They're not going to be those traditional kind. The dumplings you'll get here include like the Aussie lamb dumpling or the vegan zucchini dumpling. They're not afraid to get a bit creative with the dumplings that they have. Oh, the smells are hitting me from everywhere. We just passed a Chinese donut shop as well. We have a hairdresser, so getting the chemically taste in my mouth from that. And here's Shandong Mama. So anyone who lives in Melbourne, this is a place you should come to. Shandong Mama is so good. Really, really encourage you to check it out. Now we're gonna come out this way, and when we do, we're gonna be on Burke Street, which is where we started this whole experience from. So let's do that now. Uno momento, por favor. Just checking over on the Facebooks and making sure that we are still active and live. Yes, we are. Awesome. Now, if you guys are watching this on YouTube or on Twitch or on Twitter, I would love to see some comments. I'm not seeing enough comments on there. I'm getting lots of comments on Facebook. I appreciate that. The reason I'm pushing for that is because I'm a core and attention whore, but also because algorithms, it makes a big difference on the algorithm if you do that. Burke Street Mall, right behind me. Just resetting real quickly, guys, at our half-hour mark coming up on. My name is John. I'm a professional tour guide. I work for Depot Adventures. I'm just giving you a little bit of a walk through our city. If you have questions about anything at all, let me know. I don't have much of a direction for today, and so if you ask me a question about something you want to know more about, or an area you want to see, or you want to stump me on Melbourne history or Australian history, let me know. I know this accent makes it sound like I must not know that much about Australia, and you'd be right, but you know, give it a shot, embarrass me on camera in front of all my friends. Let's see if you can stump me. Coming straight forward now, we have one of the most feared things, the dreaded, the terrifying hook turn. Now, over on the street, you'll see here, they just moved our signs actually. So we have these hook turn signs right here. See, it says, right there, it says, right turn from left only. Right turn from left only. What on earth mean? Well, here in the center of Melbourne, we don't like to do things normally because we have these trams that come through the center of our streets. So let me just show you what I mean. Let's set up right here. Do we have a tram coming? Of course not. That'd be too convenient. But you can see the tracks right over there. And those tracks need to be protected. We need to let those trams continue up and down the street the entire time. So how do we do that? Hook turns. So what's gonna happen here is we're gonna see cars go forward. I see a scooter right now. What's it gonna do? It's gonna stop in the middle of the intersection. It's gonna wait. It has to wait there, and that white car is doing the same thing. So that white car there and that scooter there are both hook turning. They wait for the light to turn red. And only when this light turns red, you can actually just make out the light here just over my shoulder. That light's gonna go red, and these two cars are gonna crisscross and basically kind of be like in the front row of the other cars coming around. It is a uniquely Melbourne thing to preserve our trams. So watch this, go in yellow, and now they're kind of eking out. Now, whoop, red, whoosh, hook turn. Come on, Scooter, you gotta do it. Go! He did it. Nice job, Scooter. The reason that we do this is that the trams in the center of our city, they need to get where they need to go. Other parts of Melbourne, the trams share the road with the vehicles and they go much slower. But here we give them these protected lanes. Think back to where you are at home. If you're traveling anywhere, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or right side of the road, if you want to cross the opposing lane of traffic, what do? Usually, you get into the middle lane and you just wait, and you wait for a gap and you go across. Now, if you're behind a person who's trying to turn, you just have to wait for a very long time. In our congested city of 5 million people, if we made people wait to do their turns, all the trams would line up and get stuck right behind them. That just wouldn't work. So instead, hook turns are what we do. They're not the perfect thing. You'll see two cars right here, so it's lined up. There's two cars. We're going to do a hook turn at the same time. Watch this lights turn red, and then watch these two cars turn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. There we go. Oh, the third car is going to sneak in for a hook turn as well. Just a cheeky hook turn there. And that is, that's about the maximum number of cars. You can maybe get 4 cars in for a hook turn, but certainly no more. And so, absolutely not the most efficient way to get our cars around our city, but we don't care as much about our cars as we care about our public transportation. This is a way of prioritizing public transport ahead of individual cars. My plan now, so I'm not going to do any comments or questions. I'm going to head towards Flinders Street Station, and if you want me to go somewhere different, just let me know. But if I head down over that way, I'll be able to show you a beautiful train station and also hop on my train home because it's nearly quitting time. It's 4 o'clock and I run my own business, so I don't work normal hours. Come on, I have easy hours around here. It's been a bit of a interesting lockdown for me, not just because I run a tour business. I've also been creating a human. Had a baby 11 weeks ago. That's been occupying a lot of my time as of late. Now, emphasis on I had a baby is definitely on my wife. She did most of the heavy lifting. But I find that if I say these kind of things, I get sympathy. And remember, I am a narcissist at my core. And so I'm looking for sympathy. I'm looking for some congratulations. It's the easiest congratulations in the world. You walk around with a baby and people are just like super nice to you. It's great. I should have done this years ago. Oh, fun fact time. You ready for a fun fact? If you're my friend, if you're like a friend of mine, you'll know that I do this all the time. We'll be walking, I'm like, oh, let me tell you what history, and they all hate it. That's the great thing about streaming. You guys can't tell me not to do it. Now I'm gonna do it right now. See this little weird sculpture over here? That weird sculpture sits atop the first public conveniences in Melbourne. Let's go have a look, actually. Should be able to see it. I try not to get hit by a car on a live stream. That'd be viral for sure. All right, see this right here? See there's that little gate there? And then see here, there's a step going down. This is one of the first public toilets in Melbourne. Public toilets are not a foregone conclusion. The idea that we have places that you can go to the bathroom anywhere you want is kind of amazing. Kind of a new, whoa boy, kind of a new and interesting thing about our society. Here in Melbourne, we are a city filled with money and wealth, and we want to do everything that we can to show off our wealth. So how do we do that? By not only having public toilets, but by having something so ridiculous, so over the top, so unnecessary that the rest of the world will look at us and say, these guys have so much money. And what is that thing that is so ridiculous and so over the top? That thing is a ladies' toilet. Because why on earth would you need a ladies' public toilet? Men, they go to work all day long. They're the ones who are away from home. They're the ones who need toilets on the public streets because they're out doing busy, important man things and meetings. Women, they have to, what, go out and buy a loaf of bread? This is the prevailing wisdom of the Victorian era. Luckily, we've come a long way since then. And ladies' toilets, obviously, are probably even more important. Not even probably, definitely more important than men's toilets for, you know, anatomical reasons. And so we have men's and women's public toilets nowadays. We also have a burgeoning feminist movement here in Melbourne. Not burgeoning. Feminism is not any new thing. But sorry, Llama, I had to cool you just because that was the only way I could get rid of your comment with the vulgarity in it, which you were just describing the street art. But I've got families looking on here. My apologies. I appreciate you watching. So the women's movement here started with this. Woo. Beer. Right here we have the only brewery in our city center here in the 3000 postcode called the Crafty Squire. They make James Squire beer here. And that brewery is a thing that gold miners loved when they came. People looking for gold often left their families and they drank lots of beer. Overconsumption became a public health issue. And if you're a woman living in the 1800s, you don't have much agency in society. If you're a woman living in the 1800s and your husband drinks all of your money away at the pub, you've got to figure out a way to feed your kids because you're the one with them all day. If you're a woman dealing with a husband who drinks too much and becomes violent with you, that uniquely affects you. Women realize that they together have a political issue that needs to be addressed. And so they form temperance leagues. Temperance leagues are created to basically curb the effects of overconsumption on the Australian public. They will get rid of beer and instead replace it with coffee palaces. Today, Melbourne is one of the great coffee cities of the world as a result of some of these temperance movements. These temperance leagues, by the way, it's the first time that women got together and organized themselves as a political group with their own interests different than men. And so as a result, after the temperance movement was successful at getting prohibition passed in the US, what was the next thing they moved on to? The women's right to vote, women's suffrage. The images that we have from the suffrage movement, these misogynistic, sexist images of these like just old maids in the black dresses looking very cranky with their parasols. This comes from the anti-suffrage movement. People trying to paint cartoon character evil women out of the suffrage movement. And we still, in sexism today, see some of this. Sexism, by the way, a big issue in Australia, as we learned this week. We're all kind of discussing complicity and sexual assaults while certain members of our parliament have been accused of either rape or concealing rape. This is like the big thing in all the headlines. The thing that Canberra likes to do, Canberra is the capital of Australia, for you guys not from here, and the big thing that our parliament likes to do is when they have a difficult issue to deal with, regardless of political party, what they do is they say, hey, look at that, and they change the subject. Or they say, hey, that issue that you have with us, well, the other guys do it also. And so that's what's happening right now. Famously, just a few years ago, there was a case where one of the political parties had some members, the Green Party had some members who were dual citizens, which is unconstitutional at the federal level. You can't be a dual citizen and be a member of parliament, which I disagree with, for the record. But the result was that everyone said, Green Party is terrible, And then the Labour Party had some members who turned out they were dual citizens. And the Liberal Party, all the parties had members doing the same thing. And rather than address the core issue, which is that in a country where half of our citizenry is first or second generation immigrants, maybe we shouldn't have a dual citizen clause ruling out people serving in parliament if they have dual citizenship. Instead of dealing with the issue, they just sniped at each other. I have opinions, obviously, about this. Sam, thanks for your comments. Please do come take one of my tours. Come to Australia. I want to see you over here. Sam, it's been a long time since I've seen that guy. He and I were in high school together a long time ago. I used to be on the speech team, and this is what I do now. This is what happens when you have someone who's on the speech team who can't be gainfully employed, is they start their own walking tour company. Just to reset for a second, guys, this is Depot Adventures. I am the founder of this company, which is one of Australia's largest accredited walking tour companies prior to the global pandemic. Post-global pandemic, it's a much smaller, leaner organization than it was before. But we'll be around, we'll stick around. I'm practicing out my live streaming abilities. Love you too, Sam. It'd be great to see you, actually. Next time we're both back in Minnesota, we should catch up for beer. Yeah, so this is me trying to keep the business alive, and I am doing it, actually. One of the things I'm doing a lot of is this, but on a private basis for Mr. Jeff Bezos. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Amazon has this whole program called Amazon Explore, where you can book a tour with me, and I privately take you around, doing very similar things to what I'm doing. The gear that I'm using right now is the same gear I use for Amazon. See this nice, smooth camera? How it's not shaking when I do that? Because I have you on a gimbal right now. So it's the thing. Hey, there's a question. Favorite country visit? What is my favorite country to visit? Excellent question. Now, I've been to a lot. I used to be a tour guide in Europe, going to 26 countries all the time. I've been all over Australia and the US and Canada and Vietnam. My favorite country, though, Ireland. This is like near and dear to my heart. My full name is John Francis O'Sullivan. The Irish actually saw my name and said, give that man a citizenship. I actually have dual citizenship with Ireland. I love Ireland. I love places with crap weather. Too often people go to Playa del Carmen or they go to Ibiza and these beachy places. And you know what? Yeah, I can do that. I like a beach day as much as anywhere. But you know what I like more? I like a cold, wet, rainy day, a warm fire in a pub, and a delicious, smooth whiskey. That's my go-to. All right, question coming in from Sam. Got a buddy who's a Kiwi. Any thoughts on differences between Aussies and Kiwis? Yeah, this is one of the interesting things that, like, the world is big and people have their own cultures, and so you don't really get to know that there's actually pretty significant differences between Australia and New Zealand, but it kind of gets wrapped together in the same way the US and Canada does. People always say, oh, you're Canadian to me because they hear my Minnesota accent. The main difference between Australia and New Zealand, number one, we're bigger in every way. We have like literally, I think it's 7 times the population of New Zealand. We're bigger in land mass. They have more sheep than us. Lots of sheep over there. The stereotype of it is that New Zealand is the country place with these funny accents. Now, the accents to Americans sound the same, but they are not. The vowel sounds for Kiwis are different. So they kind of shift their vowels a bit. So instead of saying chip, they say chup. Instead of saying deck, they say dick, which creates all sorts of hilarity, I'll add. There's also a fun thing, because Australia and New Zealand, we have these superficial differences like accents and words that we'll use. We do have this similar Antipodean kind of culture. The Antipodes are kind of the outer Southeast Asia parts. The British used to call Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, this whole area over here. And nowadays when we say Antipodean, we're usually talking about Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand also fought in the wars together. The Anzac troops, Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, they come up together. And so there's a lot of similarities. One of Australia's favorite things to do is to steal cultural touchstones of New Zealand and call them Australian. Here's a dirty secret. Our favorite thing to talk about in Melbourne is a flat white. We love ourselves a flat white. It's like a cappuccino but with less foam on it. It was probably developed in New Zealand. Don't tell anyone I told you that. But it was probably developed in New Zealand. Here in Melbourne, we say, no, it's ours. Sam Neill, the Kiwi actor, he's Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park and a bunch of other stuff. He's Kiwi, but he's in most of our Aussie films. We say, oh no, he's Aussie. Russell Crowe, he's Aussie. He's not really, he's Kiwi. And so a little bit of stealing. The best analogy I have for it is Flight of the Conchords. In Flight of the Conchords, there's this great bit where every time the two guys go, they work for the embassy for New Zealand, and every time they go to like a conference of all the countries, Australia has like this big party, and there's like sad, drab little booth. There's a little bit of inferiority complex going on there, but there's also a lot of love. New Zealand and Australia have a lot of love for each other. They are beautiful countries to visit. The best piece of advice I have for Americans is go to each country, but do it separately. I have all these Americans who come down here and are doing a 2-week trip and trying to do both countries. It's just, they're too big. Australia itself is a country the size of the USA with a population of just a little bit bigger than the greater New York metropolitan area. So, there's some answers. What about people's temperaments? Let me actually, I'm going to answer that in a second. I just want to quickly show you one thing I'm waiting out here for. So it's closed right now, but this place is one of the trendiest in Melbourne. Loon Bakery, Loon Croissanterie. You'll see little X's here because people will literally line up for 45 minutes to an hour to get a croissant. So you can just see right in there, all those croissants of bacon inside Loon. It's a very, very trendy spot. We're a city that likes being trendy, and Loon is definitely on the trendy side around here. Right, so how much time is required for the country, Sam? I would say, I know this is hard for Americans because Americans get less vacation time, but then again, believe that you are a business owner, so take all the time you want and come do 90 days here. I think that if you're doing less than 2 weeks in Australia alone, you're not really doing it justice. Any trip to Australia deserves a stop by in Melbourne, in Tasmania, which I like to say is like the Oregon of Australia. It's beautiful woodland area, beautiful wineries and whiskey places and cheese shops. And then also Uluru. Uluru is right in the center of Australia. It used to be called Ayers Rock. That's the English name for it. Now we're trying to embrace the indigenous name of this place. Those 3 places I would say to go to, and just give yourself 4 or 5 days in each destination. The common thing Americans do is this tick box tourism. They want to get all of it in and do 1 to 2 days in each city. They don't get to really enjoy it. I say save for a minimum of 4 days in each destination. Temperament in Australia and New Zealand, very similar. Very chill, very laid back. I like to say that when comparing it to the US, America is transactional, Australia is relational. We care a lot more here about whether you're a good guy or whether you're a dickhead. If you're a dickhead, we don't want to give you the time of day. So for example, if I go to a fancy restaurant and I'm a jerk to the waiter, it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to get good service over here. Now, if I look like I have a lot of money in the US, you're much more likely to get service, but it's much more about temperament here, whereas in the US, you got Brad squatting down at your table being like, hey guys, I'm Brad, I'm here to give you who wants to have some awesome blossom. And it's just not, Australians go to the US and oftentimes they come back and they'll talk to me because I'm like the American, like, I don't know, person that they talk to about America things. You'll never believe the conversations I got to have when Donald Trump got elected, because I'm like the American that people know in my friends group. But the Australians will come back and they'll come to me and be like, I don't get it. Like, people are so fake in America, and it's not true. People aren't fake in America. There's just a different set of rules that you follow. If that makes sense. Sam getting called out there. A 2-week tour by John. That's an excellent question. I do day tours with Depot Adventures, and I'll tell you, for a private tour for 3 hours with me, I charge $499 Australian dollars. So whack 30% off the price to get American dollars on that. But then we also have public join-in tours. That's where you're with a group, and those are a little bit more reasonable. That's more like $69 per person, but you're going to be sharing me with other people. So up to you what you'd like to do. If you want to do a 3-week tour, look, let me know. I bet we can work something out, Sam. You let me know. You're going to pay for my expenses, and I bet you can convince me to come on a little trip with you and your family around here. Now, I do want to go to Hosier Lane. before we get to our train station, because a walk around Melbourne is not complete unless we see some amazing street art. We are the capital of street art in the world. Here we have incredible street art that you can see. Street art is technically illegal, but kind of permitted. What I mean. Now, if you go over to this street right here and you put up street art, put up graffiti right here, and a police officer sees you, you're gonna get stopped. Someone's gonna have some issues very quickly. But as you take a left here, you're gonna see the entire street filled with graffiti, because it's one of these designated street art laneways. It's just known for being a street arty place, and no one stops you for putting street art up here, which makes this one of the top tourist sites in Melbourne. Now, of course, our borders are closed right now, so you're not going to see many tourists. This is an unusual sight in March to see this place so empty, but usually this is just absolutely thronged with people around here. One of the things that I love about street art is that it is not enforced by anyone. There's no person saying, hey, this piece is allowed to be here, this piece is not, this piece is allowed to be here, this is not. There's no curator over here. And so anyone can do anything to this laneway. So for example, can you see all these little white cursive things here? Some people came over here a few months back and they brought fire extinguishers loaded with paint, and they covered over the entire wall. All the street art down here, they covered it up, made the news as people were upset about it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great reminder that all of this stuff is temporary. As soon as you put up a piece of street art, it is no longer yours. Here we have it, some great pieces over this way. You'll get pieces arguing for peace. Everyone deserves to feel safe regardless of faith. Hey, look, salad bowl art. That's the same person that we saw before. We have some interesting, weird, creepy pieces, like over here. We also have some massive murals, like right behind me now. Have a look up this way. Aboriginal Boy is the name of this piece by an artist named Adnate, who I love. He does these like large scale artworks. And this piece, he would have gotten permission from the council to put that up. This is not technically street art because it's not, you can't just go cover it up right away. It's been up there for years. But I think it's a beautiful, beautiful piece that deserves some recognition around here. Let's flip our camera back around, look at okay, just gonna quickly have a check on the socials, make sure I'm still streaming. I've done this before where I've like been streaming, but then I'm not actually streaming. There's like no one watching. So, there we go. Oh, look, new piece. This is new, this just went up. That yellow piece right there, I like that. So stuff changes here quite often. To give you an idea, you can see over here this yellow writing. It used to say Happy New Year around here, and there's a Santa hat, and then already it's had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces go on top of it since then. What is the protocol for visited? Sam, I'm sure you're saying COVID. Oh, good night, Llama. Thanks for tuning in today. Protocol for visitors is you're not allowed. We can't have you here. I actually, so like I mentioned earlier, like I had a baby in December, and even my parents can't come to visit right now. There is a compassionate release program that you can get to enter the country. They rarely give it, and only in cases where it's like someone's on their deathbed and has no one else to hold their hand as they pass on, and so they have their child come down. But if you come down here, there's no exceptions to the 14-day mandatory quarantine, and it's not where you want to do it. You get to the airport and the military picks you up, the armed military, and they escort you via bus to a hotel. You don't get to choose which hotel. It's a quarantine hotel, and then you sit there for 14 days in your hotel room having all your food delivered, and then you're allowed out. You have to take a COVID test 3 times. It's pretty well. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the congrats. So that's what it takes to get a city that doesn't have any COVID. We have not had any COVID cases in Melbourne for the last 7 days. and all it took was 111 days of lockdown. So that's the protocol for visitors now. We're all kind of discussing what that's going to mean for the future. How is this going to work as we kind of move into COVID normal is the word that we're using down here. COVID normal means that we have it under control. We don't have to worry about masking all the time. I have my mask with me, but I'm not wearing it because you don't have to when you're outside of like public transportation or grocery stores. And so what is life going to be like now? How do we make sure that we stop the spread when there is an outbreak? But then how do we also just live our lives? And I actually see an example of that right here. The big wedding that's just happened just across the street. It's a different approach. Australia's taking a different approach from the rest of the world, not naming names, USA and the UK. But over here, we have really been all about kind of dealing with the situation, nipping it in the bud early. That's not to say it's without controversy. It's hugely controversial, as businesses like my own are on the ropes. We're not sure if we're going to be able to make it through this because we're a country of 26 million people, and 13 million came internationally per year prior to COVID. You can't expect half the country to go traveling and to replace that. International tourists spend a lot more than domestic tourists. They travel for longer and they go to more diverse businesses around here. So, uncertain times. That said, the government has seen fit to give me quite a few grants. I've come out with, I think it's around $250,000 in government grants in an attempt to keep me through, which is not just supported me, but my staff. I had 11 people on my staff prior to COVID. We went down to 3 now, but that's been one of the things that's been keeping the lights on, keeping our rents paid, and all that stuff. Also, doing a lot of these virtual tours for Amazon. Now, something I'm really kind of bummed out about. I'm probably going to finish off in about, I'd say, 5-10 minutes if you're wondering where this is going. But something that I'm a little bit bummed out about is our robot coffee, robot ice cream, I mean, is just packed up. I just found this place, Nixa Robotic Ice Cream Bar. So this is a place that actually had a robot serve you ice cream, but you can see they're packing it up to go, taking on a road show. It was the coolest thing put on by the different robotics teams at the universities in the area. Welcome to Federation Square, though. This is our main square, made in 2002. This place is a great place to come hang out. We have Defiance Girl here. You'll recognize this statue from New York, where she was looking down at the bull near where the stock market is in New York. This got put over here as a replica for International Women's Day last year. But over here you see these little social distancing circles. So these are around to keep people in separate little areas as they enjoy Federation Square. These chairs are open for anyone to come and watch TV. We've just finished off the Australian Open, the tennis around here, and that's the thing that people gather and watch on the TV screen, the tennis happening here. You'll also see the big tower, and that tower is Eureka Tower, tallest tower in Melbourne until that one might be finished already, actually. I believe that one's going to be taller by 2 stories. So we'll see if they do an observation deck. I don't think they're going to. This one has like a tourist observation deck you can go to. You get this great view from all around. They also have live bands here, play all the time. That can be pretty fun. And then over here, we have my destination, the train station. Flinders Street Station, when it opened, was the busiest and biggest train station in the entire world. It's just coming into view right now with that dome. And it is a treat to be able to walk through this thing every day on my way home. Now, in Melbourne, we have trams, which we've seen a lot of on today. We also have a train network, the suburban train network. And I live about 8 kilometers away as the crow flies. It takes me about, depending on if I get an express train or local train, between 20 and 30 minutes to get from my house to the city. But I live in a nice leafy neighborhood, good place for a family. The city can be a bit too busy and the actual apartments aren't as good over here. And so I'm gonna head back to my home now, but before I do, I'll show you what our train station looks like. It's worth seeing around here. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, please let me know. Also, have a look at our street crossing. We have the green man and the red man in most countries in the world. Over here, it's a green and red woman. See right there? in a move, a nod towards gender inclusiveness, we decided to make our street crossings be not gender neutral, but to be gendered instead of just being a man. I appreciate that about Melbourne. Way to go, Melbourne. Sam, love watching what you do. Look forward to a tour. I need to get down there. I'll be in touch. You rock, man. Thanks for responding. Hey, man. Really, really awesome to have you participating. These live streams make such a difference when people participate. I actually am going to be doing another one on Sunday. So it'll be your Sunday afternoon. It'll be 7 a.m. Melbourne time. That's going to make it like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You'll see, I'll put it on my profile, but I'm doing a collaboration with Sandemans, who I used to work with in London. I used to guide for them, doing free walking tours there. And this is a bit of a practice one. I'm not going to do the same route. I've made this up as I go, to be honest. But I'll be doing it again on Sunday, and you're more than welcome to tune in. In the meantime, let's take a look at Flinders Street Station entrance. I made my way over to my train. Now, I need to look for what time my train is going to be. So I'm going to look over here, and I'm on the Werribee line. So there's the Werribee line right there. Platform 9, it's going to leave at 22 past. Oh, I've missed it. It's going to be gone now. In a minute, that little minute hand is going to turn. But I do know it's on platform 9. So that's helpful to know. So I'm just going to head on through, make my way to my train. Find a way to tip via the stream. I mean, that's literally what I'm going to be doing on Sunday. This is just a bit of a dry run. But in the meantime, you asking all the questions is helpful. If you would like to tip, the best thing you can do, hit the share button and share this out. That actually makes a lot more difference than anything you can tip. Share this with your friends, tell them to watch it. More people watching, it gives me more satisfaction than any tip ever could. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to wrap this up right now. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, john@depoadventures.com. And I hope to see you again real soon. See you later, guys.